If I'm being totally honest with you, I never really wanted a vintage amplifier at all. This is a Fender Pro Reverb from 1965, and I kind of wanted to talk about it a little bit more because I've been lusting after Jake's Deluxe Reverb, and this is kind of a video talking about the gear you have versus the gear you want in some senses, because the downside of this amplifier is that it weighs an incredible amount because it has two EV speakers in it. The plus side with this amplifier is I think it sounds even better than the Deluxe Reverb and it's more usable. And so why am I kind of lusting after what is, you know, a much less special amp in terms of being, this is an actual vintage amplifier from 1965 and, you know, difficult to get a hold of. Has quite a cool story, which may or may not be true. We don't really know. But I'm going to talk about this amp a little bit, show you some tones. Hopefully you'll enjoy it.
This channel is supported by TrueFire. TrueFire is an online library of lessons from some of my favourite players. There's thousands of lessons on there. You can use the promo code JNC40 to get 40% off of any of their courses.
I think Rob Harris from Jamiroquai actually uses a Quad Cortex capture of this amplifier. Let me know if you're one of the guys who uses that as well. I captured it pretty early on with the Quad Cortex. That's one of them. I think I did 2 captures, but there are some guys out there that are obviously getting some enjoyment out of that. I think it records incredibly well, plays incredibly well. I'm never going to be able to take it out of the house in its current format because it weighs an insane amount. Like even the speakers alone are like 8-9 kilograms each, and then it's a 2x12 in a Fender sort of, you know, they're heavy things, right? So this is from 1965. The batch number on it is number 1. How I came across this amp was initially through my buddy Jake Loosemore, who was going through the middle of his 2-rock fever, and this came up, and I think the guy he talked to on the phone told him that it was being sold on consignment by Phil Taylor, who is David Gilmour's tech. There's a little shop down in Hampshire, I think, and was it called Oasis, something like that? Anyway, some things, you know, once he'd actually bought it, they didn't want to confirm any of that sort of stuff. But in any case, the price that he paid for it, I think about £2,300, is a pretty fair price for this type of amp anyway. The Pro Reverb's not particularly the most sought after blackface era amplifiers, but this has had the output transformers changed as well, and of course isn't the original speakers and original baffle, so there are some reasons that it wouldn't fetch as much as like an all original Pro Reverb, even though probably these upgrades probably are going to make it more suitable for many folks. It's not going to break up as early as the original transformers, but those original transformers in some ways were considered a bit of a weak point. So I don't think it was ever particularly used on anything of note, particularly if you check, you know, the things that David Gilmour has used in the past. This definitely won't crop up on that list. And if that were the case, that it were true, then you'd imagine that selling it under the name David Gilmour would have yielded much more fruit, and that's something he's done before anyway, but maybe that's more kind of stuff that he's known for using. In any case, it needs a step up transformer, step down actually. 110 volts it runs on, so you've got a little transformer for that. But I'll just show you kind of how it sounds. So this is the normal channel. What I was really liking about the Deluxe Reverb was that it just sounds great. So let's see if this also sounds good. So here we got the normal channel. So that's on about 2.5. Here we got the vibrato channel now. And this is kind of better than the Deluxe Reverb because we can switch in or out the bright cap. So where the vibrato on a Deluxe Reverb is kind of spanky, we can switch in or out the bright cap. So it's actually 2 channels that are more useful than on the other. I'm going to just check whether it takes the pedals quite as nicely. So in particular, the SD9 I thought sounded incredible with the Deluxe Reverb. So I'm just going to try that now and hope for the best. I haven't changed the settings on the SD9. The only thing it's going to change is the amp and also the microphone positioning. I think I was playing an F, and that was where where it wanted to feedback. So we'll just notch it up to a little bit beyond 2. So it's pretty lively. If I put it into the vibrato channel, I'm hoping this actually takes it better than the Deluxe Reverb. The other thing I wanted to try will be the Zendrive. We're doing good things, I think. I think, yeah, it's quite easy oftentimes to sort of be lusting after other gear. Sometimes, you know, what you've already got might even be like a smidge better than what you're kind of looking at. No, not saying that all of you guys maybe have a blackface era vintage Fender amplifier, but I think it is easy to just keep kind of in this gas mode, like keep on looking over the fence and trying other things like a Sir Bella, Two Rock stuff. This has been here like the whole time, and now is one of the only amps that I've actually kept. I think that's quite cool. I never thought I'd own a vintage amp, as I said, but it's going to be super difficult to move on and super difficult to move out of the house. So it's not something I could gig, but I do think that there is something special about it. I don't know, let me know if you think so in the comments. Sounds really good to me, takes pedals incredibly well, kind of does all of those things that the Deluxe Reverb was doing. It's a little bit less home friendly for sure, and possibly that sweet spot where the Deluxe Reverb kind of sits beautifully in a mix at kind of 3 and is at gig volume. You know, this is maybe beyond that because of the additional headroom, but still a beautiful amp in its own right and sounds amazing into a load box. So, you know, it's just something that I wanted to kind of remind myself of as I'm thinking. I've just given that Deluxe Reverb back to Jake today, but this can do all of that and a little bit more probably. So, I don't know, the gear that I have versus the gear that I think I want, something to think about. Yeah.